Wow, what a night in Stevenage. We have just come off the air from the 2025 British J Cup. The trophy still sitting behind us here. I'm Dave Bradshaw, along with Revolution Pro Wrestling owner and booker Andy
Commentator tonight.
Commentator tonight, multitasking. And we have a new winner, a new name etched on that trophy, that of Nino Bryant. Andy, first question, were you expecting that?
You always expect the unexpected. That's what I've learned across the years. And I think it's crazy because when you look at the very first British J Cup, when Jushin Liger became the inaugural British J Cup winner, you can look at it now and you can look back and say, wow, a legend like Jushin Liger won that championship. When you look back to that first British J Cup, he was very much an underdog in that tournament. And he surpassed all the odds to become the British J Cup winner. You look at Michael Oku when he won it. He was a big underdog in that as well. So it's happened before and it can happen again, or I should say it did happen again tonight with Nino Bryant. Is someone we've spoken about for a long time who's got a bright, bright future. And it seems like the future could well be now. And winning that British J Cup now, he marches on to York Hall Bethnal Green, 8 days time. June 22nd, where he challenges Will Caven for that undisputed British Cruiserweight Championship. I'm not a betting man, so I'm not going to say which way I feel that contest could go, but momentum is on the side of Nino Bryant. And I said to you, Dave, during the commentary, he's starting to turn winning into a habit, and it's a good habit to have.
Yeah, it certainly is. And what a couple of weeks it has been for Nino Bryant. I want to talk about a couple of the other British talents on the show who made it to the final. Chris Ridgeway, who came very, very close. Obviously, come second. Finally, the last man eliminated in our main event tonight. Also, Cameron Khai, because Khai had a very interesting evening, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Yeah. So look, let's break it down to Chris Ridgeway first of all. To me, Chris Ridgeway is one of these guys who he's always been on the brink, and it's always been about consistency for Chris Ridgeway. And I think for the first time in a very long time, we're starting to see that consistency from Chris Ridgeway. I think when you look at his body of work in 2025 alone, you realize that Chris Ridgeway has really started to come in his own and really fulfilling the potential that everyone knew he had. He's going to be so frustrated that he couldn't get the job done against Nino Bryant, especially because he's been getting the job done consistently for a fair while now. And he was on a rampage, he was on a tear, and the way he took apart Nino Bryant's leg was something that you really should go out your way to look back on, because he's a master of a human anatomy, he's Chris Ridgeway, and he's a fine technician. And I just feel like it's just great to have him as a consistent and regular part of Rev Pro, and it's what I've wanted for a long time. I think it's what the fans have wanted for a long time. So it's great to have Chris Ridgeway here in a way where he can call Rev Pro his home as well. And Cameron Khai, it's an interesting conundrum, isn't it? It raises perhaps more questions than answers. And I said in the first round, Cameron Khai probably got through that round because of Liam Slater.
Absolutely.
And then in the finals, he was eliminated because of Liam Slater. And you played devil's advocate there and said, well, perhaps Liam Slater would say you got eliminated because you weren't listening to Liam Slater. So it's very interesting. And Khai is like, he's young. He's someone who he can be easily led, perhaps. He can also be very stubborn. So it's going to be interesting to see where Khai falls on this. Is he gonna look at this retrospectively and feel maybe I should listen to Liam, or is he going to look at this and say, I'm going to do this on my own? But it must hurt for him because it's the second time of the year, as you so adequately put. He finished fourth. You know, I'm not sure why you're counting places outside first, maybe 1 and 2, but looking at fourth, you know. And it's the second year in a row that he's finished there. So he's going to be frustrated because many people picked him. They said he would be the Cruiserweight champion by now, and he's not. So
interesting perspective. Nice shirt, by the way. I want to talk about 3 people who debuted in Rev Pro in the tournament as well, international stars. We had Ace Austin and Adam Priest from the United States and Endakara from Sweden. All 3 of them appearing in Rev Pro for the first time. What did you make of those? Did anyone stand out?
I was super impressed. Super impressed. Like obviously, we all know. I feel like Ace Austin's probably the most high-profile name, and he came and he came to, you know, essentially put his money where his mouth is. He's a free agent, and he wanted to show the wrestling world what he's all about. And yeah, I think he's going to be very frustrated with Liam Slater and what's gone on there. Endakara, what a unique personality, a unique move set. He is an interesting prospect. Obviously, being based in Europe, is he someone that could become more regular in the Rev Pro cruiserweight division? Because it's certainly one of these things where the British J Cup comes, much like when we were running the Great British Tag League, which will be coming back. There you go. I've done it again.
There's a scoop.
I've done it again. But like, now we've got a schedule to allow it. But I digress. But when we run the British J Cup, and it kind of the same way we did with the Trios Grand Prix. The Trios Grand Prix saw us with the introduction of the Liam Bryant brothers. It really is what saw CPF become regulars with us again, right? Or regulars for the first time. They've kind of made sporadic appearances, but it was the Trios Grand Prix that really kick-started that momentum for CPF. And I feel like the British J Cup can do the same in terms of, just bringing new life and fresh talent into that cruiserweight division. And I think that Endakara is a very interesting prospect. Like I said, I like everything about him, very unique professional wrestler. And I feel that he could definitely be one for the future. So I guess watch this space. And look, Adam Priest. So the guy, honestly, I was blown away by Adam Priest. I think that Adam Priest, questionable tactics, is certainly a personality. But I feel like Adam Priest, perhaps the standout of the tournament, maybe. I'd go as far as saying.
His reputation precedes him, and he lived up to the hype, certainly. Speaking of living up to the hype, I want to talk briefly as well about the kind of an international dream match we had between Serena Deeb and Lizzy Evo. Deeb picking up the win. Evo kind of getting in a couple of shots afterwards, though. We've had that sort of battle for dominance, if you like, between Deeb and the CTC. Deeb saying she runs this business, and the Cutthroat Collective saying, well, we run this company. How did you see how those two interacted tonight?
I really enjoyed the match. It was everything that we expected it would be, between two of the best wrestlers in the world. Lizzy Evo, to me, showed herself as durable, as tough. She showed a lot of heart in that contest with Serena Deeb. Despite, I'm not sure if that was her intention going into the match or during the match, but as the match progressed, Deeb took her into that place, didn't she? And she had to show a lot of heart. And obviously, she got caught early on. She decided to get into a striking exchange with Deeb, which is probably a smart strategy against, someone who's such a sound technician. But she wound up getting caught, didn't she? That eye was swelling up. The vision was going before the end of that contest. But she stuck in there and she hung in there. And she was able to evade many of Deeb's key parts of her offense. She'd obviously done her homework, trained diligently. But ultimately, what took her off her game was that series of dragon screws. And then when you're focused on the leg, you can throw the game plan out the window, can't you? So that inevitably led to her downfall if we're picking apart the match from that strategic point of view. But yeah, you're right in saying that Lizzy Evo, like Serena Deeb, I think Lizzy Evo earned Serena Deeb's respect until her actions after the match. Serena Deeb offered the hand, I think, because of what war she was in and how physical the contest was. And Lizzy Evo, I said if she shook her hand, she perhaps could be a hypocrite for the way she's been treating Sapphire Reed. She showed no compassion at all. She attacked Serena Deeb. And I've got a feeling that this whole battle for supremacy between Serena Deeb and the Cutthroat Collective, it could well be continuing. But Cutthroat Collective probably got their own battles to fight on the home front and work out what's going on with them. It was a landmark occasion 2 weeks ago, which would mark the 1 year anniversary of the Cutthroat Collective. And there's more questions than answers right now when you talk about them.
Now we're headed into the Revolution Rumble this coming Sunday, June 22nd. Your call, Bethnal Green. Just a couple of things that happened here tonight that maybe play into what we're going to see next week. First of all, it was TK Cooper, number one contender, of course, for the undisputed British Heavyweight Championship. He's going to face Michael Oku this coming Sunday. He was against Luke Jacobs, the man who Oku's beat to regain the title back in December. Cooper got the victory again, though, and not for the first time recently, with a handful of trunks.
Yes, and TK Cooper saying that, look, if that happens next week, in your no disqualification match, then you're no longer going to be the tag team champion. And if that happens in my championship match, I will be the new heavyweight champion. Those words certainly got in the head of Luke Jacobs, who was just absolutely fuming and, took his frustrations out on poor Dynamite Lee Dawson and left him lying in the ring. Yeah, it was interesting, wasn't it? Because I think TK Cooper's made it perfectly clear he will play by a certain set of rules. But in this situation, yes, he held the trunks, but Luke Jacobs did low blow him first. So it's very interesting, and I think that again, I feel like more questions than answers, really. You ask about the psyche of the Young Guns going into that no disqualification match with CPF, and I think CPF have got into their heads of the Young Guns, just calling them pussies over and over again. And look, to me and you've been around for a long time, an insult like the word pussy, it's ridiculous me even, like right now, even just saying this to you, right? It's ridiculous.
In the heat of battle, right?
Right.
It's
And all the stuff that the Young Guns have dished out to CPF, and it's,
yeah, they might take out their own medicine maybe in that tag title match.
And and I think they're beginning to think, well, what if CPF have got a number? What if CPF are in our heads and that's going to affect things? They threw out, CPF said they'd put up their trophy to get that tag team title shot. It was the Young Guns that were like, we want this to be a no disqualification match. The CPF were like, sure, let's go. Like, it's our choice. We can do what we want, but yes, let's do it. And I think that's put the Young Guns on a bit of the back foot. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. And look, TK Cooper versus Michael Oku, who knows how that match is going to go? Because people, including myself, including you, have been betting against TK Cooper for months now. Since his number one contender tournament was announced, people have been betting against TK Cooper. And he just keeps proving his doubters wrong. I'm sure many people bet against TK Cooper tonight. He found a way to win. And ultimately, that's what matters, finding a way to win. So I'm very interested to see how this contest is going to go. I feel that TK Cooper has obviously got a chip on his shoulder, but I feel so has Michael Oku.
Yeah, biggest challenge still to come for TK Cooper. And speaking of big challenges, the last thing I want to talk to you about, we saw one of the competitors in the Revolution Rumble in singles action, Joshua James. Another devastating performance from him. There's 30 men going into York Hall this coming Sunday. Only one of them can win the Revolution Rumble. You got a pick?
No, I do not. But listen, it's my favourite time of the year. It really is. It's the most exciting time of the year. The Revolution Rumble is just a fantastic match. Check out this very YouTube channel. That last year's Revolution Rumble is up on the YouTube. If I get a second this week, I will make the one 2 years ago is up on YouTube for free in its entirety. And if I get some time this week, I'll make last year's available on the YouTube for free as well, because it's such a exciting time, and it's really it will give fans an idea of what they can expect. And I genuinely hope people come to this event, because this is what it's all about. There's very few experiences like professional wrestling live, and the twists and turns that you're taken on throughout a night of live professional wrestling action, and the twists and turns of a Revolution Rumble is like the twists and turns of nothing else. So it's, like I say, just such an exciting time. I'm super excited, and I hope the fans are too. And I genuinely hope people show their support. And they come along, they buy their tickets, they watch it on demand, because this is what it's all about at the end of the day. And you're going to get exposure to 30 of the best wrestlers in the world. You might not know them all, but you will by the end of the night. And it's going to be good, Dave. This will be you calling your first Revolution Rumble, won't it?
It will be. So I'm looking forward to it.
You haven't got a clue what to expect.
And obviously, as we've talked about, our trio of championship matches, Emerson Jane against Kanji next week as well, plus that 30-man Revolution Rumble. Is going to be an unforgettable night at York Hall. Bethnal Green. Andy, thanks as always for taking the time after the show to come and talk to us. We'll see you next week in York Hall.
Dave, what I'll tell you is next week, after the show in York Hall next week,
I
will give you lots of news.
Okay. There we go. Make sure you're with us next week here on the RevPro YouTube channel, and make sure you're with us in York Hall for the Revolution Rumble.